It's 2 days to the independence where Nigeria will be celebrating 62 years of independence, and really lots of questions are coming up. What are the expectations, and also is Nigeria progressing as it is at 62 years? You're welcome to the Dailies on Echo Television International, where we look at various stories trending on our Nigerian newspaper, a little bit of sport, and possibly maybe we'll look at the international paper too. I'm Sarah Elisha Dashom, and I have Rachel Tanze. Good morning, Rachel.
Good morning, sir.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. How
What are
about
your
you?
expectations, actually,
My expectation is that come next year, we're 62 years, we have a government that will actually grow us. You understand? Let us not remain where we are, but that we are turning a new page and a new government that we will grow like our age and truly be 62-year-old, like wise, completely developed, full of wealth and all of that.
Of course, and I think that is everybody's desire, as we celebrate 62 years. Well, we'll look at where we're coming from, where we are, and where we are heading as a nation. Let's take a look at what the papers have for us this morning. You can actually drop your comment on our Facebook page, YouTube, and also at 9:30, we'll open the phone lines where you can be actively involved and also call us and let us hear what you feel about most of the stories that are on the papers this morning. The first paper I'll be reading is the Blueprint newspaper. The big story as Wike Makinde Ekpezu Autumn Sean campaign inauguration. Autumn says PDP is a solid rock, no wind can move. The riders following that say urges Atiku and party to ignore Dom Sears. Presidential candidate offer olive branch to aggrieve governors and others. Tambuwa sure victory, tax INEC on free and fair polls. NEC members allege plot to derail campaign. You can read out of that on page 6 of the Blueprint newspaper. Like ex-Senate leader Yahaya Alero caught Sean out Lawan. The writer say affirms Machi as Yobe North District APC candidate, orders the party to forward Machani's name to INEC. Is victory for justice. This is still coming from Machina Lawan from the Yobe North. And still on the Blueprint newspaper, federal government to raise 720 billion naira to close the fiscal expenditure gap. And 62, independent federal government declares Monday as public holiday to actually, celebrate the Independence Day. Flood kills 3, displaces 50,000 in Kogi. Buhari inaugurates climate change committee, and the writer says 17 communities sack in Anambra. And we see the number of communities are increasing. We had that of Kwara, we had in Niger, I think even Kano, and even some part of Katsina. Now we're having in Anambra, Kogi, and also even in Bauchi. We had the issue of flood there. Even in Plateau State here, we had that, I think, in Lantan North, precisely. So I just hope that we'll actually, really read the climate, even though the president has set up a committee to look into the climate change committee. So I hope that the committee will do all that is expected of them so that people can actually be aware of what they need to do and how to avoid this flood come 2023. Still on the Blueprint newspaper, Akere Dodo to the presidency. Amoteku can't fight armed criminals with bare hands. Troops raid bandit dent, rescue 3 kidnapped victims in Kaduna State. And on asset declaration, CSO hails judgment as the appeal court clears INEC boss. And I hope that this asset declaration will also relate to all those who are vying for various positions, because we really need to know what you have before you get into office, and then what you're planning to do. We do not want to hear issues where most of our politicians use taxpayers' money to enrich themselves, while the country and also the masses are suffering at the end of the day. Still on Blueprint, we have high import aid, soaring food prices in Nigeria, Ghana, and others. Bayelsa Monarch Ijon leaders kick over calls to scrap amnesty program, and I really also stand against kicking against that, because if we should scrap this amnesty program, believe you me, we are going to be having another terrorist group springing up again in that other part of the Niger Delta. So I just hope we maintain that amnesty program, talking about all the scholarship that is supposed to go to them. We should give them all that they need, because if we are going to rehabilitate most of the Boko Haram members that have surrendered, then I think it will only be
Yes.
fair that we do the same
The
thing
same.
to those people also in the Niger Delta. So I hope that we do not scrap that amnesty program at the end of the
Because
day.
when you look at it critically, they deserve it. This is something that these people deserve. I don't know why. Yes, of course, the government can be perfect, but we had to wait till they turned out to be something else before we decide to rehabilitate them. But when you look at it from the beginning, this is where the wealth of this country comes from. These people are supposed to be benefiting a lot of things, not until when they turn to criminals, then you now want them to start benefiting from something that they should have been benefiting from the beginning. So they deserve it. I really hope that the government doesn't scrap it, because it's just going to breed more problems.
Of course, of course. But then that's all on the Blueprint newspaper.
On the Daily Times newspaper, come let us rescue, rebuild, reposition Nigeria. Atiku beckons on PDP members as Wike, 4 other PDP governors shun inauguration of Presidential Campaign Council. And the big story is on the 2023 election. May make or break Nigeria, Obasanjo warns, says politicians capable of wreaking havoc, which could make or break the country. And that is very true. It's left to them to build this country or not. And now they have the opportunity to do that. And I hope they take advantage of that. And on the left side of the paper, I never described Obi Labour Party supporters as saboteur. This is coming from Ideo Ha. And on the downside of the paper, Nigeria will save 350 million annually, create 110,000 jobs from sugar production. This is coming from the federal government. And the writer for that story, as FEC approved phase 2 of National Sugar Master Plan, OK's 580.5 million naira for NDLEA armored vehicles, 29.1 billion naira for road salt development project, and you can read more of that on page 2. Still on the Daily Times newspaper, our aggressive monetary policy in line with global trends, says CBN. Obi 30 2023 rally court prohibits Obi supporters from converging at Lekki toll gate. You can read more of that on page 5. And on the 62nd Independence Day, federal government declares Monday, October 3rd, public holiday. And that's all the news on the Daily Times.
On Nigerian News Direct, CBN recovers 3.7 trillion naira from beneficiaries of the intervention schemes. And NNPCL set to achieve 20 million cylinders in 5 years. This is coming from Kiari. And Obidati 2023 court bans rally at the Lekki toll gate by Labour Party. Still on 2023 election, we have amidst the crisis, PDP inaugurate Presidential Campaign Council and vows to rescue Nigeria from bad governance. Wike, Autumn Makinde, 3 other party big wings absent. Still on the 2023 election, court seal allowance fate declares Machana APC candidate for Yobe North. And Nigerians' debt to GDP ratio at 23%, below the 40% limit. This is coming from the Debt Management Organization. And you can read all of that on page 4. We have 2 picture stories here. You can do well to get the Nigerian News Direct and read any of the story that's of interest to you.
On the Daily Independent, courts OK Obi supporters rally in Lagos, ask them not to converge on Lekki toll gate. Bloomberg poll favors Peter Obi to win 2023 presidential election. And a big story, 2023 election may make or break Nigeria. This is coming from Obasanjo, asks religious leaders not to allow politicians to wreck country. Gunmen kill 5 soldiers, 1 civilian in Anambra State. Lawan loses as court declares Machina Yobe North APC senatorial candidate. Abdul Salami warns against selling of votes, campaign of calumny. You can read all of that on page 7. NDLEA to get 4 armored personnel carriers at 580 million naira. Federal government okays extension of second phase of sugar master plan to 2023. And you can read all of that report on page 6. Still on the Daily Independent, Atiku urges unity as Wike allies join PDP campaign lodge. And the writer for that story, don't mind doomsayers, PDP is a solid rock, coming from Governor Emmanuel. Tamboa wants members to hit the ground running for victory. And you can read more of that on page 25. And at the downside of the paper, PDP NEC member raises the alarm over plot to derail Atiku's campaign. And you can read that on page 6. And that was all the news on Daily Independent.
On Nigerian pilot, we have, I will end insecurity, unemployment if elected as a president. This is coming from the Labour Party candidate Peter Obi. And the Federal Executive Council have approved 580 million naira for the NDLEA armored vehicles. On 2023 polls, PDP in shaky stand. This is the big story as Wike, Makinde, Autumn absent at the party's presidential campaign council inauguration. All hope not lost, party's presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar tells Nigerians. Don't mind the doomsayers, PDP is a solid rock. This is coming from Governor Emmanuel. Says nothing is acceptable to the party in the 2023 except victory, which you can read out of that on page 8. Buying arms to protect Ondo people, Akere Dodo replies the presidency, which you can read on page 8. And federal government has declared Monday, October 3rd as public holiday. Obidati rally court rules against occupying the Lekki toll gate. And court have denied the Senate president declares Machana APC senatorial candidate. 14.3 million Nigerians use psychoactive substance. This is coming from Talen. And Obasanjo says politicians will wreck Nigeria if. You want to know the if, you can read that on page 9. The last story here, communities in the Niger Delta live in depressing conditions, says Syrup, and it's really true, just like we said. So scribing that amnesty program is not the best, and they also have to look at the welfare of the people living there, because if they're living in a depressing condition, you really have to take a look at some of the pictures and even videos around there. Their lands are burnt down because of the oil there. Their fishes, no fish in the river anymore because they can't fish as a result of oil spillage, and lots of things are happening there. No wonder we keep seeing them going through oil theft over there, and as a result of that, people lost their life. So I hope that we'll look into that, because I won't agree less with what the former president is saying, Obasanjo, and he's saying politicians will wreck Nigerians if only we keep going through votes buying and all manner of things. Because if we check the papers where they say election will either make or break Nigeria, it's actually true. And we know that 2023, I think everybody's looking forward to that, especially the youth, looking at the fact that we are tired of the narrative. Things are not happening the way we want. If we're going to be celebrating 62 years of independence, begin to ask, how were we before the independence? How are we now now that we're independent? And then how far can we go? We're still trading on debts left, right, and center. Oil theft left, right, and there are lots of issues coming up, but that does not mean there are no good news in Nigeria. There are definitely lots of things that are happening positively. I mean, we are looking into creating job opportunities with the sugar, salt, road, and even we saw into exporting cashew and all of that. So I think rather than focusing on just the oil that we are having as a result of, we are not even meeting the OPEC quota, I think why don't we change our direction, look into other sectors that actually need to be, revitalized again, so that youths can get job opportunities. Our educational sector needs to even be addressed, because, where there is no education, definitely the nation will tend to suffer at the end of the day. So I hope we'll look into that, because no wonder all the number of out-of-school children have increased, the number of Boko Haram terrorists, kidnappers we're having, because if these youth and kids are idle, they look for something else to get occupied. And these terrorists are actually recruiting more and more and more and more people. So I hope that we really have to make Nigeria not break it at the end of the day. Still on the, I think, Nigerian pilots, and that is all the story we can take on Nigerian pilots.
On the New Telegraph, Loan recovery. CBN debits FAAC's allocation to indebted states. Intervention loan creditors repay 3.7 trillion naira. Shell acquires Nigeria's renewable energy firm Daystar Power. You can read more of that on page 8. Independence Day celebration, federal government declares October 3rd public holiday. NNPCL targets 194% increase in cooking gas supply. Akeredolu false presidency claim on AK-47 approval. Alleged $10.1 billion Malibu oil fraud. Court to rule on Adoke December 12th. You can read that story on page 5. And the big story on the New Telegraph, Wike for PDP governance absence as Atiku flags off campaign, pledges to restore Nigeria's unity, address insecurity and other challenges, call on PDP members to unite to win poll. Why Otom boycotted inauguration. You can read all of that on pages 2, 3, and 5. Still on the New Telegraph, this is coming from Obasanjo, 2023 polls may make or break Nigeria. Urges religious leaders not to allow politicians wreck country. FEC approves 580.5 million naira armored vehicles for NDLE, to 27.3 billion naira for Ondo Edo Road, 1.85 billion naira for Ebonyi Salt project. And I would like to say more on this concerning the armored vehicle, because other papers, there was one paper that captured 4 armored vehicles and then other did not capture the number. However, for transparency, when the government is allocating this kind of money, I think the requirements, the standard of everything, when it comes to the road, when it comes to the salt project, for accountability and how will I call it? Transparency. Exactly. More details should be given to us. Okay, if it is 4 armored vehicles, when they arrive, let's see the 4. For the road, how many thousand kilometers? How many 100 kilometers? What are the standards of the road? Are there bridges involved? How many bridges are going to be made? So that when these projects are finished, we will see that, okay, this money did what it was assigned to do. And for the salt project, how many percentage of it will it be? Will this money make it up and running? Is it just for the infrastructure? Is it plus running everything? This should also come in that, so that we will be able to know, just as it is for accountability and transparency in one way or the other. This is the way we'll know, okay, you know what, things are working, this project is moving as it has been said. But by the time you just say you've given such amount of money without mentioning the quantity or how far the money will go, we won't know. And that's why tomorrow you will see an abandoned project and someone, a contractor, will say, we haven't been, just stories behind it, because nobody really know how. This is an opinion that I hope will be heard, might be heard, and it will go a long way helping us. Let's know how far are these projects going to go. When will it be completed? When will it be finished? It's not just about allocating the money, but also knowing how far will this money take us in this project.
Of course.
All right. And still on the New Telegraph, ASU strike, UNICAL loses 10 lecturers, professors to death. And you can read more of that story on page 8. And on the downside of the paper, still on the 2023 presidency, no ethnic group can coerce northern voters. This is coming from the NEF as M-Built unveils Labour Party presidential candidate running mate in Jos. And the writer for that story, Labour Party will declare state of emergency on education. This is coming from Abure. Obi Tati rally can't hold a Lekki toll gate. This is coming from a judge. Tribe religion-based campaigner Public Enemy. This is coming from DK, and you can read all of that on page 4, 5, 26, and 30. Still on insecurity, Nigeria in total mess. State police feasible now. This is coming from the Middle Belt Forum. Gunmen kill 4 soldiers, a civilian, injure many in Anambra. Shot dead Bauchi lawmaker's son. That's a very sad one, and you can read more of that on page 4 and 8. And there's a study on the paper, new treatment needed to control rabies on the way, and you can read that report on page 26. And that's all the news on New Telegraph.
On the Nation newspaper, Machina now not Lawan is Yobe not senatorial candidate. And Kodru hashtag will be Dachi 23 rally can hold at the Lekki toll gates. The DCO civilian killed in attack on Oyo police station. Akiridodo to the federal government arms are to protect Ondo residents, which you can read on page 6. And we have the federal government NNPC to inject 20 million cylinders through new gas firm. Picture story here, we can see the APC youth at the rally in Abuja yesterday. And my leadership will inspire Nigeria to greater heights, says Tinubu. APC supporters march on Abuja as Obi storms just yesterday and kick off his campaign officially. The big story on the Nation, we have Wike Makinde, Autumn Sean Atiku's campaign launch at the Ray opposition party. PDP flag bearer promises restructuring, good governance. And we have here CBN goes after states and farmers over 600 billion naira unpaid. You can actually read that on page 3. Downside of the paper, we have Oshun get 2 varsities. Gunmen kill 5 soldiers and 3 others in Anambra and Imo, which you can read on page 4. And that's all on the Nation newspaper.
On the Guardian newspaper, 50% global cancer burden in children into bankruptcy before leaving office. Troops raid bandits, then rescue 3 victims and recover arms. Air traffic controllers seek solution to jet fuel. Canvasses unity as Wike campaign shows campaign flag off. And the writer for that story, Wike, we will remain in PDP to fight for inclusivity, to tell on side of party crisis Friday. NEC member reveals plot to unseat Ayu, derail Atiku's campaign. This is coming from Badugu. No cause for worry over postponement of APC presidential campaign. I will campaign in every part of Nigeria, says Tinubu. Obi meets Efenefere traders, leaders in Ijebu, promises not to let Yoruba down. Follow Alajide DAWN Commission kicks against Afenifere. And there's a picture story, little protest still on Omotoku, we stand. And there's a picture of the Omotoku, and if you want to know more details on that, you can get the Guardian newspaper. And on the downside of the paper, your claim stand logic on its head. Akeredolu replies presidency on use of AK-47. You can read that on page 6. Don't allow politicians to destroy Nigeria. Obasanjo advises religious leaders. And that's you can find on page 4. And that's all the news on The Guardian.
All right, before we move further to other papers, we'd like to take a time out where we can open the phone lines for our callers. Let us hear what you feel about what the former president said about it, whether politicians will make or break Nigeria, and also on other stories that have been trending on our papers. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back. Thank you for staying tuned. It's still the Dailies on Echo Television International. I'm Sarah Elisha. My co-host is Rachel Tansi. Thank you, Rachel, for doing this with me.
Welcome.
By our official numbers that are displayed on your screen right now, call us and let us hear what you have to say concerning the stories that have been trending on the paper this morning. Chief Yoruba Nation in Mon, this is coming from Akitoye, says Tinubu won't win the 2023 presidential kick against PDP around the Federation might ensure credible polls and PDP chief tight support. The big story, which is titled Scandal. Finance Minister award revenue collection contract more competent firms. Company awarded contract undergoing probe in 14 countries for alleged bribery and corruption. Others $5 million leak of more will be done concerning this allegation investigation properly before we actually, give any contract to any foreign, company or any foreign investor that's coming to the country, because this will really, really turn the image of Nigeria and also turn the image, going through corruption, issues, and they are working on that. So I just hope that the Nigerian government will dig deeper into this. I just hope that she doesn't take her hand into anything that will actually, be able to clear out this scandal that is going presently right now.
I was going to say she's a very intelligent woman, so how will this slip past her by? Because this is something big. This is a contract for a entire background check. So where did the mistake happen? Didn't she do her background check? Didn't she investigate allegation? But then if it's something that can be taken back, it should be quickly, because you're now putting Nigeria to be...
Even elected Nigerians will enjoy stable electricity. This is another promise coming from the Labour Party candidate Peter Obi. Autumn Makinde boycott PDP campaign inauguration as Atiku kicks off with book launch. We have a caller from Akwa Ibom. Good morning.
You should please know that Nigerians are now aware, their eyes are open. When government officials are doing something, people are reading them, that the governors, those who govern them, loves them. For now, Nigerians believe.
Contribution, because Nigerians need to know that you love them. So actions speak louder than words. That is just the bottom line of it. Well, and that's all on the first newspaper.
On the Nigerian Tribune, confirms marching our APC candidate for Yobe North. We have been of sophisticated campaign in every part of Nigeria. This is coming from Tinubu, and you can read that on page 3. And the big story on Nigerian Tribune, how I plan to rescue and rebuild Nigeria, coming from Atiku. National Campaign Council launches 3 books. Atiku's policy document roadmap to nation's success. This is coming from Okowa, Mike DP, and Sabotage Atiku. Still on the Nigerian Tribune, Kogi flood displaces 50,000 load capping. Start story, EO suspect in Oyo police station, son of Bauchi assembly member, and warlords adopt kill Okada rider. 31 million naira in 6 months to Abuja Kaduna train shutdown. This is coming from the man candidate, and you can find all of that on the Nigerian Tribune, and that's all the news there.
Intervention funds recovered 5 trillion naira not due. The rider flowing the stories in manufacturing accounted for 31% of the manufacturers' loan Apex Bank, which you can read on page 12 of this day newspaper. Climate change. Asks Council to formulate policies for green running made Ekowa. We can see Tambuan, Governor Emmanuel. Still on this day, we have Atiku flags of campaign says we have a duty to arrest the rich. Have IU charges campaign council to right APC wrongs. PDP plot to scuttle the Atiku's presidential ambition. We saying our manifesto will be anchored on sustainable debt. The floor mills meet the president during a meeting floor mills had with the president, which actually influences investment in Nigeria and
retribution after government killed 5 soldiers in Anambra statement. APC flags off campaign rally for Tinubu's Day. And the big story still on the 2023 election unveil plans. Again, another poll, 600-member campaign. And concerning Yobe North, Machina Hills called off his presidential campaign with supporters who rallied in Jos yesterday. And if you want, he will be remembered for failing to maintain.
Back again. Let's take a look at the Vanguard newspaper. Okay. 16 soldiers, one order in Anambra State. Customers deposit rates to rise 30%. Please move away from your TV set. We said, please turn the volume down.
Morning.
Okay, go on, sir. Can hear you.
Okay, I want campaign in every regions of Nigeria. That is good. To also allow other opposition candidates. So it is not for him to particularly the obedient signboard from being erected in Lagos and prevent for the sake of Nigeria, not individual. Thank you.
Thank you so much for, come out, campaign, rally, and also get their own gate. But I just hope that it's not just about the Lekki talk that they said the Labour Party is being derived of having their right to actually let the party to actually do that. Where we have a party actually will be given a common ground. Well, let's take a look at still on the Vanguard newspaper, the big story. Hello, good morning.
My contribution is based on why should the court stop Labour Party from... I think this country is turning to another thing. Why should they stop Labour Party?
Well, just like we're saying, we hope more will be done into checking the reasons behind why the Lagos party is there. So they have to look into what are the reasons behind that giving.
This will only cause problem. Like the last caller said, is there...
Hello, Mr. Emeka, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Yes, I want to comment on the Northern Elders Forum.
Okay.
That organization should stop. This country belongs to them alone. So are they saying that without Hausas, that in all the tribes, Atiku is there, Tinubu is there, Obi is for Igbos? Why are they wanting organization to stop the marketing Obi?
Equality and for also fair ground. I think every religion should be given a fair ground to actually trade their campaign. Because just like we said, this will only put a threat to the democracy we're practicing in Nigeria. So we hope that it will be given an equal fair ground. Any TV or radio station for a campaign, they should be given a fair ground, equal time and all that. So I hope that INEC will check into all these guidelines that they gave. Where we had the big story here that said we must hold Nigerians' decency into anarchy. This is coming from Atiku. The writer said Nigerians more disunited now than during civil war. Launches 3 books, beg all PDP members for support. Says I can't win elections alone. Ignore doomsayer. This is coming from Governor Emmanuel. Ayu, Wike, Makinde, Autumn absent. Enugu, this is coming from Abia PDP. And the picture story here, we can see Atiku during the inauguration and his book launch. Don't allow politicians to wreck Nigeria. Obasanjo charges clerics. And we have Basa doesn't obligate CBN to provide forex for repatriation. This is coming from Emifele, the CBN governor. I will take my campaign to all part of Nigeria, coming from the APC candidate Tinubu. And on 2023, you can read on page 20. And we have Northwest Governor's counterpart in Niger seek review of ECOWAS article on movement of persons and arms. NDIDA drug war. Federal government approves 580 million naira for armored vehicles in victims. This is coming from the NRC boss, Okahari, which you can read on page 8. And that is how far we can go on the program The Daily. Thank you so much, Rachel, for doing this with me. Thank you to all our callers, and thank you to all the crew members for making this program a success. Go out there and be the peace that Nigerians seek for.